Hi guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today we're doing my top 5 enemies that I would like to see return in Breath of the Wild 2. Now this list came like about a while after I made my top 5 bosses video, and I thought why not for Breath of the Wild sequel have enemies that were in older Zelda games be kind of like reimagined in Breath of the Wild sequel. So for number 5 are the Bulblins, and they come from Twilight Princess. And what I like about the Bulblins is that they're kind of like the big goblins, but I feel like the Bulblins are kind of slightly cooler because of the game that they've come from and the way that they're able to like use their weapons. Because within Twilight Princess, they're not only are they able to fire a bow and arrow, use like a sword, makeshift sword anyway, but they're also able to ride on boars, and it'd be quite cool and interesting to see the Bulblins brought back in that kind of sense and see them riding boars, and also it'd be quite cool to see them like for Link to ride the boars as well as horses in Breath of the Wild sequel. Kind of like how it did in Twilight Princess, and it'd be kind of cool to see that sort of like sort of sense to like, and also how they can change colours depending on how kind of like how Link levels up and how stronger and tougher they can get. So it'd be kind of cool to see the Bulblins make it some sort of return in the Breath of the Wild sequel. For number 4 are the Pea Hats. Now the Pea Hats have appeared in a variety of games, like the original Zelda, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, and several other games. But I think it would be cool to see them be brought back into Breath of the Wild 2 as like a sort of mini boss, kind of like how they did with the Hinoxes, the Stone Telosses, the Stalnoxes, kind of like how they did with those bosses, and we'd like to see that with the Pea Hats. And also, kind of like the Lionels, I would like to see the Pea Hats sort of like updated and sort of like evolve to the Breath of the Wild overworld, like to that particular Hyrule, because with the Lionels, not only were they able to breathe fire, but they were also able to use a variety of weapons like a bow and arrow, a spear, and also a sword and shield. So I'd like to see the Pea Hats make some sort of return, but with a more updated look, because in Ocarina of Time and those sorts of games, the only kind of thing they did was kind of like spin about and just hit you with their spikes. And I would like to see them make a return, but like let's say they're able to shoot out let's say seeds, because they are plant-based enemies, and they do, like some of the other mini bosses in the game, they are able to use the environment around them and disguise themselves as like a tree or whatever so that they can get the drop on Link. And I think Pea Hats would be quite cool. For number 4, number 3 is the Danielfoss. Now they're kind of like the Zelda, but more dino-like, and I think that'd be quite cool to make a return for the Danielfoss, because they're like quite kind of like a polar opposite to the Zelda. And also, if they do make a return, I would like to see them in the Elden region, because you can find them in the Elden region-ish, and it'd be quite cool to see them adapt and also take some elements from how the Danielfoss did in Breath of the Wild, and so like they could breathe fire, they can use like the like all the elements around them. They can use like it's like they'll be like the Danielfoss but more dino-y. If it's kind of hard to explain the Danielfoss, because they act quite similar to Danielfoss, and and I would like to see them in like the Elden region, mainly because of their nature and it's kind of like it's basically For number 2 are mini Moulders. Now mini Moulders have appeared in a variety of games, and I would like to see them make a return, and and if they did make return, I would like to see them be either roaming in the overworld or be part of the Moldorm boss fight. And if they were around the Moldor, if the mini Moldorms were in the overworld, I would like to see them like disguise themselves as like, you know, a bush, because they got the leaves around their body, and that would be kind of cool to see, because then if Link is trying to just go from one location to the next, and he sees a bush and he cuts it, that could awaken a mini Moldorm, and he can just start to fight it, and then let's say if he defeats it, more mini Moldorms, let's say like 2 or 3, like spread apart, and then you can try and hit them, but they'll be more fast, and after a while they will come back together to make the main mini Moldorm. Not like a large Moldorm, but like a smaller version. Then it can split into 3 smaller ones, and then yeah, kind of like the Wall Masters and all Floor Masters in Ocarina of Time. So yeah, and for number 1 are Darknuts. Now I think Darknuts are probably one of the coolest enemies in all of Breath of the Wild, because they're just that tough. Because I think the toughest that they've ever been is in Twilight Princess, when you have to fight them in Hyrule Castle, the Temple of Time, and the trials of the room trials in Gerudo Desert. You know, where it's where the bridges. I forgot what it's called. Like, you know, the trial fighting place, but it's, you can find some Darknuts in there. Like I think in the final fighting room, and I think they're quite cool. And I think they'll act kind of like how Lionel's act, but like, you know, how tough the battle can be. Because in Twilight Princess, when you take off the all of the armor, they can act faster. They can use 2 swords. The one when they're using their main armor, and one when all the armor is off and they use a smaller sword. And I think they'd be quite cool, and I would like to see the Darknuts take inspiration from the Twilight Princess design. Like, they can move faster without any armor, they can use 2 swords, and it'd be quite cool to see these Darknuts like roaming different parts of the overworld, and probably in some like Colosseums, like how there's Lionel in the Colosseum near the Great Plateau. But in Breath of the Wild, there could be like some hidden Colosseums that might have been buried underground or something, and Link has to go through each one, and at the end he has to face a Darknut, and each one other of a different variant of the Darknuts. Like, you know, you've got your normal standard Darknut, then you've got a Darknut in like a red armor or something like that, and each one gets tougher and tougher to face. So yeah, that's been my top 5 enemies I'd love to see return in Breath of the Wild 2. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.